Hi everyone, Grant K for the Smoke Learning channel. In this video, we take a look at the redesigned proxy workflow in Smoke 2017. As part of the redesign, careful thought was given as to how proxies are used in a modern-day workflow. In other words, as storage gets faster, most systems can play their deliverable resolutions. So for general work, proxies can be totally optional. But when a production approaches its final stage, composites could be quite complex, and time is very mission critical. So this is when you may need additional interactivity, and it needs to be on demand. In the previous version of Smoke, these decisions had to be made at the very beginning when creating a project. So projects were proxy-based. They were either on or off. So if you had a 1-hour sequence, and you just wanted to boost interactivity for one visual effects shot, you still had to generate 1 hour's worth of proxy media if you wanted to keep it all in one project. It worked, but the flexibility wasn't there. So the whole concept of project-based proxies has been removed. In Smoke 2017, the proxy workflow offers two options to get more interactivity and performance when you need it. Deciding which option to use is based on what you're doing. If the setup is complex and things are slowing down, you can switch to a proxy quality mode without generating any proxy media for any sources. So you should get better interactivity and performance when working within the setup. But if the slowdown is caused by multiple streams of high-resolution media, you can also generate proxy media for all the sources in that setup. You can generate proxies for source media used in a clip, multiple clips, a single ConnectFX setup, multiple ConnectFX setups, specific segments in a sequence, or the entire sequence. Proxy generation is very granular. You can also selectively flush and delete proxy media if you choose to do so. So with all these changes in Smoke 2017, all projects are now proxy capable. This means you can switch to proxy quality or even generate proxy media for any clip, setup, or sequence at any time in the project. This can be on import, general interaction, and even rendering. Think of it as proxy quality and proxy media on demand. So let's look at the different areas of the application where this comes into play. Starting at the project creation, you will note a few differences. In the Proxy Settings tab, you still have the option to set the proxy quality: a half, a quarter, or an eighth of the original resolution. You can also choose the scaling filtering as before. You'll note that the proxy on and off button is gone. However, you have these new options to help you along. This new button, labeled Generate Proxies by default, mimics the old proxy on behavior. When enabled, media imported or generated by Smoke will generate a proxy. The big difference is that this is not an on and off switch for proxies in the project. When this button is on, it simply enables a bunch of proxy generation preferences throughout the software. You can easily toggle these preferences in the software at any time. This is normally off by default. Finally, the conditional option is still there to ensure that you don't generate proxies for small resolution media where it is unnecessary. Once your project settings are ready, create your project and start working as you normally do. So we've spent a bit of time working on our sequence containing timeline effects and ConnectFX. In this particular ConnectFX, we've got to a point where the interaction is slow because of the setup complexity and time is running short. So in order to boost interactivity and performance, we can look at the two options offered by the proxy workflow. The first use case is when the processing operations are slowing the software. In this ConnectFX setup, I am using a high-resolution source clip that is propagated through the flow graph. Smoke can easily handle the media, but all the processing effects are slowing the interactivity. To speed up the processes, click the Proxy Quality pull-down menu and choose Proxy. This is mapped to Control P. The viewer is now surrounded by a border indicating proxy quality mode. Now zoom in very close on the image and toggle proxy quality on and off. You should be able to see the difference between the full resolution and the proxy quality. So the media and the processes are scaled down to the proxy quality in real time. When we scrub the time bar again, the interactivity and performance is significantly improved. But please bear in mind that even though the nodes show a proxy resolution, we have not generated any proxy media in this setup. To reiterate, if the media is not causing performance issues, just switch everything over to proxy quality. I'll disable proxy quality for now and go to another ConnectFX segment to look at the second use case scenario. When we look at this flow graph, you can see that we have multiple high-resolution sources. These are composited and combined together into the result. Because we are calling up so many high-resolution streams at the same time, the performance and interactivity is hit at the media level as well as the process level. Scrubbing the time bar is delayed significantly. You could enable the proxy quality mode with Ctrl P. This will attempt to scale everything into proxy quality mode on the fly. This will only give a tiny speed bump because we are pulling so many high-resolution sources at the same time. So to help with the media bottleneck, we'll generate proxy media. Proxy generation is selection-based, and you could do one source at a time if you want. But a quicker way is to select all the clips in ConnectFX using the Media panel and call up the contextual menu. In the Media menu, you will find Generate Source Proxies. This will send all the media within ConnectFX to be processed as proxy media. This can be monitored at the bottom left of the interface. And you can also click the arrows for the console if you want to see more detail. Now you can carry on working while proxy media is generated since this is a background process. Once the proxy generation is complete, ensure you're in proxy quality mode. Now scrub the time bar. You can see what a big increase in interactivity and performance. This is because we are using the proxy media and the processing operations are also scaling to proxy quality. So this is very different from what you may have used in previous versions of Smoke. You set up your proxy settings at the project creation and you only use them when you need them. Now let's take a quick look at the proxy workflow in other aspects of Smoke. Turn off proxy quality and switch to the Media Hub. When it comes to importing, you can choose to generate proxy media on import. So here I have some high-resolution material. The preview panel shows the settings and resolution I've chosen. Before we import anything, look at the general import options. The Cache Source Media option is still present, but there is also a Generate Proxies button. If you had enabled the Proxy Generation button when creating the project, this button would have been on as a standard. However, I created the project without using that option, so all Generate Proxy buttons will be off by default, including this one. But let's say you want proxy media on import, so enable the Generate Proxies button. Now ensure the clips are selected and drag them into the Media panel. The clips appear with a pending render message in the Media panel, and the backburner services process the proxies in the background. Similar to working in ConnectFX, you can still access the full resolution media while the background services process the proxy media. The frames will populate the clips as each proxy is generated. So long as this button is enabled, you will generate proxies on import. I'll disable this button and switch to a new location to import media. Now I just want to import media without generating proxy media to do a comparison. So you can mix and match media with proxies or without. Just by holding / and clicking on the clips will show which ones have proxy media and which ones don't. You can also see the proxy resolution in the events list of the conform area when you have an open sequence. And the proxy resolution will also be displayed in the expanded media panel. So switch to the timeline area and expand the media panel with one right arrow. You need to ensure that you are in list view to display all the clip metadata. If you scroll the list, you will see the proxy resolution column. Now this is a good point to distinguish between clips with proxy media and clips without. Clips with proxies will have the proxy resolution displayed in the column. Clips without proxies will just have a dash. Now if you wanted to generate proxy media, it's the same as we did earlier. Call up the contextual menu over a clip or clips, choose the media menu, and choose Generate Source Proxies. And off it goes. The proxy resolution will be displayed in the column. I also wanted to point out the option to flush source proxies in the contextual menu. So if you wanted to delete the proxies to free up space, select the media and just choose this option. The dash will reappear in the proxy resolution column, confirming that no proxies are associated with the media. Now press one right arrow to reduce the media panel. I'll take these 4 clips and edit them into a 4K sequence. Now I'll hide the media panel and switch to a single player. To the bottom right of the player is the Proxy Quality pull-down menu. This is identical to ConnectFX. So scrolling the sequence will currently be displaying the full 4K resolution. Toggle to Proxy Quality or press Ctrl+P. When we scrub the sequence, some media will scrub very fast and others will be slower. This is because some of the segments are using generated proxy media and other segments are being scaled to proxy quality in real time. This matches the 2 proxy workflow options we saw in ConnectFX. So you can drop everything to proxy quality on the fly to improve interactivity. Or if you need even more performance, you can go ahead and generate the proxy media. Now the proxy workflow also affects another aspect of Smoke 2017. Because proxies are now essentially clip-based, you can also control what gets rendered. In the sequence, if you click the drop-down menu associated to the render button, you can choose what to render: full resolution, proxy, or full resolution and proxy. If you go to the General Preferences menu, you will find the proxy rendering options. Here you can define the default rendering behavior with regards to proxies. And as we touched on at the beginning of this video, if the Generate Proxy option was on in the project creation, then this would be set to render full resolution and proxy. But you can change this at any time. The final option I'd like to show you before concluding this video is if you go to the Media Hub and look at the archive settings, you also have the option to generate proxies as an archive is being restored. So to sum up, the proxy workflow has undergone a major change in every part of Smoke. Hopefully this is more efficient and faster for you to use. Comments, feedback and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe to the Smoke Learning channel for future videos.